All right, so today I want to talk about consistency, on the secrets of consistency. How do you become consistent, and what I think I need to do in order to become more consistent with whatever the heck I'm doing. So, welcome to the ramblings of Cash. All right, so by the way, I'm in my gym, so that's why you're hearing some echoes. You can see pretty much all the equipment that is there in the gym, and it's a nice place. See, I've got a whole bunch of dumbbells right here, and then I recently bought this machine, which we have. It's dirty. The place is dirty right now, but yeah, I need to set things up anyways. So, how do you become consistent? I've been thinking a lot about consistency lately, and that is because I just find the act of doing something repeatedly with improvements over time to be the secret, or not even the secret, to be one of the foundational keys that unlocks the results that we want, especially when you take something like drawing. If you want to get good at drawing, you want to get better at your art skills, then that means you have to be consistent in practicing and then improving and learning from your previous practice, what you've done wrong, what you've done right, and then doing that thing repeatedly. So I want to start off with this quote, which basically says there is a fantastic quote which says, mindless consistency is the hobgoblin or something like that of petty minds. I don't know what the word was, but what the person was basically saying, I don't know who said it, but the person was basically saying, just being mindlessly consistent where you just show up for the sake of showing is like for the petty minds. It's not the thing. And that's what I used to do. I used to just show up mindlessly over and over and over again, hoping that there will be improvements, right? And we often have, hear people say, hey man, you got to be consistent in order to be, good at something, get good results and all those things. But, right? You have to be mindfully consistent. You have to be mindfully consistent, as in, you have to be consistent in a way where you're improving from each and every single repetition. If you are not learning, if you're not improving from the previous thing that you did, no amount of consistency will actually help you. That's why some people actually find a lot of results with just very little practice, whereas someone else does hundreds and hundreds of drawing, years of practice, but they don't improve. Why is that? They just pause for a second, they look at their thing, their drawings and work that they've done objectively, and then look at that, ask questions. What have I done well? What have I not done well? What are the places can I improve? And what are one to two things that I can take into my next drawing? These are the things that is actually required, to be honest, in order to improve. So if you want to improve fast, you have to be consistent, and you have to be mindfully consistent. And the way you can be mindfully consistent is actually asking questions on improvement. And you have to give that space for learning. You have to give that room and that space between each repetition of your work, right? So let's say you're drawing daily, right? You're drawing today, and then what you want to do is give space to look at your drawing and say, what have I done well? What have I not done well? And then implement it the next day. And in that case, your daily drawing habit will be much effective. If you're not doing that, probably, most likely, it won't be effective. Now, why am I talking about all these things? Like, why are you talking about this, Cash? You're like barely the person who is consistent. I'm like the least consistent person I know. I'm sort of consistent over the long period of time, but I've always seen myself like a inconsistent person. At least I've been very inconsistent with the major things in my life. And I was thinking about it. Okay, why am I inconsistent with those things? I'm inconsistent with those things because I don't have proper strategies and ways in order to be consistent. But that is like a face level thing. I'm inconsistent with those things because I lacked commitment. I lacked commitment, as in, commitment is the act of doing something, putting all your efforts and time towards a particular cause or a goal or an activity, despite the challenges and things that comes at you, right? You can say that is commitment, but commitment is also saying yes to a particular thing and no to every other thing. So if you are committed to many things, actually you can be committed to many things. But that is not okay. That is not true commitment. True commitment has an element of focus to it, and focus is basically saying yes to one thing and to no to a lot of other strategies and things. So I was looking at my own gym habit, and I was asking myself, okay, man, why am I not seeing results? What is happening here? Because I do work out 3 to 4 times a week. I do try to eat more healthier than the normal person, but I barely got results. And turns out I was not consistent enough in the very particular exercises that I need to do in order to get good or get stronger in the gym. And what I did recently was I was just committed to a set of few exercises that I'll get strong at, right? And all of a sudden, I'm getting really strong really fast. Like I hit a PR on my incline dumbbell bench today with a weight I thought was too heavy. And then I did like 15 reps of that. And it's like, whoa, what is happening here? And all I did was just show up doing that thing once a week. And I didn't change exercises. That was one of the things that I used to do, which is I used to constantly change exercises and routines. And on days I wish I did things and I was not learning. But this time, the thing that I did was I committed to a particular group of exercises. And then I told myself, I'm going to do those exercises despite the challenges and failures I'll face. Meaning, I often get bored with exercises. I often, the exercises get really hard after a time. And then I don't, whenever I hit the first failure or the first block, I'll be like, you know what, let's do a different routine. Let's do a different workout routine, hoping that will work. And you can also use this analogy in the drawing world where someone tries one art course or one YouTube tutorial or something and it doesn't work. And all of a sudden, when they face their first roadblock, they just jump and do something else, right? So that is what I used to do with my workout routine. And it wasn't working, clearly. And then turns out being truly consistent means sticking with the thing and saying yes to that thing and no to everything else. That is amazing, right? That is the thing. And then when I did that, I started seeing results. And then I realized, maybe I should apply that to different aspects of my life. Like, for example, this podcasting, I've been consistent with my podcast. Why is that? Because I just show up and talk about things that I actually truly want to talk about, right? I don't care too much for what other people like to. I do care, to be honest. I deeply care. I just don't. I'll make sure it does not show up in my actions. Like I do, care about what other people think. Turns out, but I don't let it define my actions, which is make the kind of podcast and content other people want. Like I'm going to do whatever the heck I want, right? That's my thing. So it was an interesting lesson when I just noticed that thing. When I was consistent, I committed to that. I was consistently showing up week after week, trying to make improvements. I would take videos of myself and then see, okay, form correction. How can I improve? And it came with a sense of humility. I thought I was an expert, quote unquote, or an advanced workout person. I've been training for years, so therefore I know all the forms and techniques and all those things. But when I looked at all the art students that I often critique, they think they are advanced. And then when I look at their work, the fundamentals are fundamentally missing. And then I looked at them and I said, oh, wait, they cannot see that they are making mistakes. Then that means I must have those things as well. Then I truly looked at myself and realized I made mistakes too. And it came with objectively looking at myself and asking, how can I improve? Wow, that is amazing, right? So, and when I did those corrections and small changes week over week and then sticking with it, like I think there will be more plateaus in the coming months. But just consistently and constantly sticking with the process seems like the key to improvement. And that comes with commitment and focus. Yeah, that is the thing. That is the thing. And I also look at the YouTube channel, right? I was thinking about it this morning. I was not committed to my YouTube channel that much, and rightfully so, because I don't want to. But I spent so many years being half committed to it. What if I committed to something and then just stuck with it? Commitment doesn't have to be like a long period of life. Like, for example, I have committed to my workout routine for the next 6 weeks. That is it, right? Commitment can come with some conditions and clauses, and you can define those things. It doesn't. Not everything has to be a lifelong commitment. That is another mistake I used to make. Oh, if I have to commit something, that means I'm committing to it for the entirety of my life. Maybe I can commit to it for a season, and however long that season can be. It can be 6 weeks, 6 months, or 6 years, right? But that commitment needs to come with saying no to other things, because that, I think, is focus. And that commitment, like how else would you define commitment, right? You cannot be committed to multiple things. There are things like I'm committed to my wife. I cannot be committed to many other people, right, at the same time, because that is not commitment in my definition, or in this particular marital definition. So that means commitment is somewhat singular. Focus is singular. So this is something that I've been thinking about. I'm not so sure. But what I can tell you is that I'm slowly realizing the importance of consistency, and I've been trying to practice it, and I've been not trying to practice it. I have been practicing it through different forms over the years, and I'm constantly learning new things about it. And one of the core secrets of consistency is basically just commitment. You commit to the act of showing and improving despite failures. And that is why it's greater than focus even. Focus tells you that you need to do one thing and not the other thing, but it doesn't tell you to persevere, right? But commitment tells you to focus on one thing and persevere through that thing. So it's more fulfilled or fulfilling. An act of commitment, a voluntary commitment to a particular thing. I don't know. This is what my brain is going at the moment. This is what I thought, right? And so bringing this podcast episode from the gym appropriately. So what do you think? What do you think about consistency and commitment and the importance of consistency? And I want you to truly think, right? It's always good to assume that you don't know what you're talking about, and then truly asking the question with even more of an open mind in order to come up with a different solution or a conclusion about that particular thing. Because I was just writing my newsletter, and I was like, oh, I know what I know about consistency and commitment, and then I told myself, like, let's shut the hell up and truly ask the question, what does that mean? How do I think about it? Could I be wrong? What are ways through which I could be wrong? And how could I be right? Or am I right? Right? So these are all things that is going on in my head. So that is it for this week's podcast. Pick the thing, commit, aim to improve, put all your efforts and resources, say yes to that thing, no to everything else, and things will grow. So Kesh, my boy, if you want to truly see growth, you have to be committed, you have to be consistent with that commitment, and you have to follow through with focus, effort, and action despite challenges and failures. So that is it for this week's podcast. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Bicep shot.